How's it going, Fiery 49 folks? We're hunkered down in the garage to film this. We actually did get to Fiery 49 today. Stopped on the way to pick up some goodies for the truck, but the wind is howling despite the beautiful weather outside. So the tripod with the camera didn't want to stand up in the wind very well, and also the wind noise in the mics was just, you couldn't understand anything. So we'll narrate here in the garage and kind of run down what we did today with some pictures overlaid. First and foremost, machine shop called. The 235 engine build, everybody seems really interested in that specifically. Our block is bored. It's ready for honing. It's going to be a 40 over block. So that's good. The line honing on the mains, it's good. They're ordering our master kit to get the pistons in so they can actually hone each individual cylinder to fit the pistons to account for slight variances there. Basically, the engine master kit minus the cam and lifters. Our cam and lifters checked out fine. They're not wiped. The specs are still basically stock. We weren't going to change the cam anyway to try and get a big lope or gain horsepower. We're simply building the engine for reliability, and the stock cam is perfectly capable of delivering that for us. The 57 engine we're building came factory at 110 horsepower. Our 49 235, that's a splash lube babbitt bearing, came in at 85. So we're going to get a horsepower gain even in stock form, but we're also going to gain a lot of reliability, or should gain reliability based on the newer design. So that's coming along. So the basic specs right now, 40 over on the 235. Line bore's good, and the crank was turned down 10 on all journals. So we'll put 10 thousandths oversized bearings and reuse the stock crank out of the engine. The only thing we haven't dug into, or not us, but the machine shop, they haven't broken the head down yet. They've just basically done the cleaning, but they haven't done a full inspection. But based on the rest of the engine and what we found, fingers crossed, that head should be fine. It'll just get freshened up with valve seats, guides, the standard rebuild stuff. But our 235 is coming along. We should have back from the machine shop probably sometime March. I'm guessing we're still not hurrying them because we're not in a hurry here to be a while building it. But that's it for the 235. As far as what we did today, stopped by an old friend's former co-worker who long retired from the department we're still working at, but he's a pretty good guy. Got plenty of cool projects of his own. I got to see his Jeep and other stuff there at his house. But always thinking of us, he follows along. He went out deer hunting this year, and on the back of the farm he was hunting, there was an old fire truck rusting away, returning to earth. And he's like, hey, if I talk to the landowner who has this and they don't care, is there anything off this truck you could use? Looking at the truck, it wasn't a Chevrolet, it wasn't a Laverne. There wasn't much there that, if we did want it, was usable. But the one thing I did notice is it still had the hard suction racks on the side, and they're not Laverne, and they're not exactly like what I think we should have based on Lebanon Junction's 50 Laverne, but they're close enough and they're free, and we can adapt them to fit. So picked that stuff up today. So we've got the trays and the racks to get hard suction back on Fiery 49. I'm not going to put actual hard suction back on the truck. I have a purpose for those racks. We're going to make it look like the hard suction is back on the truck. So we'll have the racks, we'll have the trays, and we had him snag these couplings off the hard suction. We've got them cut down, but don't worry, we didn't destroy good hard suction. The rubber and the canvas and all that of these was absolutely destroyed. They fell off the truck anyway. They were completely rotted out. So we just wanted the couplings for the aesthetic look. But we're going to take these and get the trays back on the truck. But in between these, instead of hard suction for water, we're going to build an enclosed vessel, basically some high pressure piping, so that we can put air tanks on the truck. The reason being, our future plans of putting Fiery 49 on the road, taking long trips because we want to take the truck back to Lindy, back to Laverne, road trip, that kind of stuff. But turning the hard suction into compressed air storage will basically allow us to kind of have our own air service station on the truck. So should we get a flat or have to fix something or need air for whatever, what used to be hard suction areas, we're going to turn that into compressed air storage that looks like hard suction. So it looks correct to anybody looking, or at least really close. But if we need the compressed air for a flat tire or something like that, we'll have it. Also, train horns are cool, and I've got a few of those. Happen to collect, or at least have a few of those. Don't know about collect, but so at parades or events or things where it's safe and okay and legal to use a train horn, that'll give us compressed air to get a few honks out there every once in a while when appropriate. for the event. So that's what's going to happen with the trays. So we'll get our original look back. It'll look like hard suction, but compressed air storage. He did grab this nozzle. If you're in the fire service, you recognize this. They're pretty common, but the old red line, the 35 gallon per minute, don't take this in the house, NFPA hates you nozzle. And I agree, these nozzles should never go into a structure fire, but they're great for field fires, cleaning up, overhaul, that kind of stuff. Use the correct gallons per minute for the fire you're fighting. But nothing real special about this, except for it's always funny. You can always define the human side of things, but if you look right there, I found that interesting. I've seen this before. I've probably done this before, but don't remember it or won't admit to it. But looks like the hose got drugged behind the truck a little ways down the road. So it's funny, the stories you can at least imagine or maybe know of based on the things you can put in your hands. So it's I'm sure in true fire department fashion, whoever did this after they didn't secure it and drug it down the road, I'm sure their fellow firefighters did not give them a hard time and had nothing funny to say, and certainly didn't remind them for years to come about the nozzle that they drug down the road. But that was there. That's kind of cool. If you're not in the fire service, or maybe don't use these because you're in a urban setting, but off this end of the hard suction, this is just a strainer. It's exactly what you think. Tie your rope in here, throw your hard suction off in your water source, whether it's a pond, lake, cistern, whatever it is. But this basically, we don't want bad stuff going through the pumps. It tears the pumps up. So this is just a filter. It's a screen to keep things the pump can't handle from getting in the pump when you're drafting out of a water source that's not a pressurized hydrant or something like that. So don't know if we have a real use for this. It's kind of beat up, but we'll see what we can do with it. But free never hurts our feelings. But the piece that really I found very interesting that he also grabbed off the truck, I didn't ask for it, didn't know it was on there. He just found it digging through or getting the racks off. But this is rural firefighting America at its finest right here. This old truck, Fire 49, the trucks and the equipment we still have when I started volunteering with the fire department back home in '97. It's a much different world. Even the smallest of volunteer departments seem to be getting grants and funding to get good equipment, which is as it should be. Public safety is paramount, and keeping up with the modern world, the hotter fires, the faster they burn. Rural areas, small departments, volunteers can't fund equipment they need. But back in the day when everybody worked at shops on farms, that kind of stuff, most rural fire departments were usually started by the locals because at some point they got tired of things burning down and nobody to do anything about it. But they didn't have a lot of money. Times were simpler. You used what you had. But I really like this piece. If you don't know what this is what we would call a duplex set. And it's an adapter kit. But a duplex set consists of a double female set of threads and a double male set of threads. This happens to be 2.5 inch. But what's interesting, manufacturers make these. These are super handy on the fire scene because you never know which way a hose may get drugged from. Need to be connected. So if you have a 2-inch section of hose coming from opposite directions, you may wind up with 2 male ends on the hoses that won't connect, or both females, whatever. So you grab a duplex set, and no matter what you run up to, you can complete that connection. So nothing phenomenal about duplex sets, but this one, what I found neat is these are not professionally manufactured, I guess you might say. These are home-built, homegrown duplex sets. These were not made in a factory. This is simply couplings off of what was likely damaged or retired fire hose. Someone said, hey, we need some duplex couplings. And somebody said, I got a brazier, I got a welder, whatever. I think based on the weight, I haven't cleaned these up, but I'm pretty sure these are brass. So they're probably brazed, but you can see they took the couplings, took the hose out of the coupling, made them back to back, and they made the duplex set. And that's how poor, rural, underfunded, whatever you want to call it, but that's how fire departments got by and still provided service and protection to the areas they were in charge of. Is if you didn't have it and you couldn't afford it, somebody stepped up and said, hey, I've got the means, and you made what you needed. We're not going to flow water through these. We're not going to pressure test them. OSHA would have a fit. NFPA, good Lord, they would lose their minds. But this is how you get it done. This is how the good old boys and girls that want to do the best they can for their hometown made it happen. Don't throw shade if this is the kind of stuff that uh, it got things done. If those guys and gals needed a duplex set and they couldn't afford it, take what you got that's junk, don't throw it in the trash. Use what you got, build what you need, provide that protection to your hometown. So anyway, thought it was cool. I just get nostalgic on things that are that probably carry a pretty cool story and the history, and just show the struggle and the ingenuity of people that want to do the best they can to take care of the people around them. So anyway, Fiery 49, got all that today. I'll get past the nostalgia. And the last thing we did today, we did a swap or an upgrade to the headlamps. So Fiery 49 still had the original style headlamps in it. Those are sealed beam. The high and low beam filaments are in one piece with a glass lens, metal reflector. They're sealed up. They're non-serviceable. When either the high or the low beam goes out, you replace the whole sealed beam with the light. Not a big deal. There's all that stuff's readily available. I can still get the sealed beam lights if I order them in a few days. They're not very expensive. The problem is if something goes out during one of our trips, and it's not okay to get, or it's not it's okay. They're not available quickly. I've scoured the local big box stores, the parts stores, that kind of stuff. The 7-inch sealed beam headlamps that are in Fiery 49, they're available, but they're not sitting on the shelf anymore. They're basically obsolete at this point. But the easy thing to do, and people have thought of this, are like, hey, still want it, but I'd like to have the modern headlights. They make adapters. So we bought a lens reflector kit that is not a sealed beam. It's just the lens and reflector, and it accepts a halogen bulb that's replaceable. So we took those out today. We took our original headlamps, which are still working. We're going to save them. We'll keep them on the truck. If we need to swap back, because the replacements aren't an exact look. If we want to get real picky on the look, we would change them back out. But we swapped them out for the newer adapters, put those in. And what that does is when we get on some of our longer planned road trips in a year or two and get out in the middle of nowhere and we can't order something and have it on our doorstep the next day because we're days from our doorstep, that lets us go to any big box store, parts store, that kind of stuff, and just grab a 9003 H4 headlamp, and we can swap it out right there in about 5 minutes. So that decision was based on strictly convenience away from home. There's nothing wrong with the old stuff, readily available. But instead of packing a bunch of extra headlamps with us and having to keep those in stock, we just saved our good working headlamps, swapped them out, halogen headlamps in. They'll be brighter anyway. We can change them in a minute. And if we're out somewhere and a bulb burns out, we just stop in the local parts store and grab that 9003 bulb and swap it out with a screwdriver. So anyway, got that done today. It's little stuff, but in planning for things we have coming up, little things make a big difference for convenience on the road. So that's it. Fiery 49. Thanks for tuning in. Know it's been a while, but spring is coming. We're working, and we'll have lots more stuff coming soon. So we hope you like, subscribe, and do all that cool stuff if you made it this far. You're clearly interested and not going to cut us off anyway. So we appreciate you. Take care, be safe, and we'll see you soon out on the road.